everyone. This is going to be somewhat of a response video to Sargon of Akkad's Rich Kids Love Social Justice. I have a differing explanation for the rich kid who loves social justice, or in general, people who get into social justice activism. Um, there are a lot of reasons people might take up the cause of being a social justice warrior, but I think one big reason is boredom. Um, there's a question in life, and that is boredom worse than death? And Soren Kierkegaard once said, the root of evil is boredom. Boredom is a terrible situation to be in, and I don't mean boredom as in, you just don't have anything to do. It's boredom when you realize, like, your life is kind of pointless. When you realize there is no intrinsic meaning to your life, and you realize that you mostly just wake up, get coffee, go pee, go to work, you come home, you go to sleep. When you realize that your life is that kind of monotonous myth of Sisyphus-esque existence where you just do the same thing over and over again and you realize your life truly has no actual meaning, that can cause a kind of a crisis in people. And to stave off that crisis, you take up some kind of cause. And I think for left-leaning people, social justice activism is a big source of filling that sort of existential void, if you will. Um, Social justice activism gives a source of meaning to one's life that, otherwise you wouldn't have. There's good and evil, there's a righteous cause you can take up, there are bad people and good people, and you want to be one of the good people. You want to be part of some kind of meaningful cause that gives your life meaning. Because otherwise, what are you? You're just some person living your day-to-day life, and one day you're going to die and no one's going to care. But this way you can sort of distract yourself from that existential problem and focus on this grand cosmological struggle against the evil cishet white male patriarchy, capitalism, and all the other evils of the world, allegedly. And in doing so, you create a fulfillment in your life. You create a distraction from how basically pointless one's life can be. And I think for rich people, it's a big problem that they have. A great example would be that cartoon BoJack Horseman. He's this rich celebrity who has everything, and yet he's morbidly depressed because he realizes that his life is without meaning. And for that rich guy that Sargon of Akkad is responding to, or say Jonathan McIntosh as an example, the full Macintosh guy, you could just take a job at your dad's company as VP of Synergy and collect a six-figure salary and have benefits and live a pretty nice life, but it would be a boring and without meaning life. By taking up the cause of social justice, their life has purpose. Their life is part of something. There is some kind of meaning and reason for them to wake up and do the things they do. And I think on the left, that is a big problem because the left generally rejects religion. And this is why I don't think conservatives have this to as great an extent, is because a lot of them fill that problem of boredom with religion. That's not to say it's a bad reason. In fact, Soren Kierkegaard says it's the best way to answer the problem of existential angst is to take up the life of a religious person. But for liberals, they don't have that. They can't really be a religious person because that does require a lot of change in your life. Like if you become, say, an Orthodox Jew, you have to give up bacon. You have to give up a lot of things. If you take up a religious life, it does require a lot of you. Whereas social justice activism might not require anything of you personally, but gives you that satisfaction that your life has meaning and purpose, that you are part of something that is important. An example of this is somebody I know who isn't rich, and I'll call her Holly. Her life is, like most lives, unremarkable. She is, well, she is unfortunate in that she isn't very pretty, and she is overweight, and she is very lazy, and she doesn't have a job. And even if she did, she'd have a job at somewhere like Walmart or or some hardware supply store, some kind of job that's just pointless customer service that offers no fulfillment in life. She prefers to play video games and have whoever she happens to be dating be the person that goes out and gets money. And it's not always a man that she's dating, but somebody. Um, she was not always a social justice warrior, but as time went on and she got older and the realization that her life isn't worth a whole lot started to really rack up, she took up the cause of being a radical feminist because it has no investment. You don't have to like work too hard to become a radical feminist. You don't have to change too much about your lifestyle. You can be what you are now, and you have an answer for why your life isn't as great as you want it to be, and you have a place in a cosmological battle between good and evil, and you happen to be on the good side. So I think a big reason a lot of social justice warriors exist is there's a lot of bored people out there because our modern world doesn't breed a lot of real conflict. You're not fighting for survival. You're not having to, bring in the crops so you don't starve to death in the winter. You're not having to um, make your own food from scratch, and I mean really from scratch. No bread maker. You have to. Our lives are so free in a sense. And when they're not free, we're at soul sucking jobs we don't like and we hate going to. So I think that for a lot of people, particularly on the left, that lack of purpose, that lack of intrinsic meaning drives one to that sort of social activism. But it's usually an easy form of social activism. So their Facebook feed will be clogged with stuff from things like liberal identity or Occupy Democrats or Al Jazeera Plus or whatever, and that is how they fill the void. And I'm not saying it's the worst thing to fill the void with, but I think there should be a recognition that these are bored people who have taken up a cause, in my opinion, partly to fill that void of existential meaninglessness. Uh, Hopefully, whoever listens to this video has enjoyed my philosophical take on the social justice warrior. I might do more videos on this because I think there's a few other answers like guilt or, well, I can't think of any right now, but I think guilt would be another big one you could go into. Thank you, and have a good day. Bye.